Okay. It says that I'm alive, but I don't see the counter. Okay, there's the counter. Okay, so shalom, everybody. So the book, The Prophecies of Abraham. What I'm doing is a live stream. Obviously, I'm going to do a fact checking on it. So I'm going to make a file right now. I might have to do a few videos, but this is just to do my homework. The Prophecies of Abraham. Fact check. And then I'm going to use the calendar, or not the calendar, but the timeline that that I got from doing the math. So, Prophecies of Abraham, we'll call it. So I just find I'm way more productive doing a live stream. I'm not even going to get started. So I may or may not keep this live stream. I think I won't. I'll just do it just for the doing this research, and then once everything's done, I'll compile it and then present it. So, but in the meantime, so I did read this book one time only, and it's very well done. I didn't fact check it because, to be honest, I just at that time I just accepted the King James version as the ultimate, the pure, unadulterated word of God or Elohim, and there's nothing better. But now I know otherwise, that the Septuagint is actually more accurate in terms of everything, really. So I'm gonna get my timeline out first, and then see how I can match up these years, the dates and all that, and research into what is used here. So what I have in my timeline is, what do I have here? The year. Here's the timeline. Okay. As long as I see the counter going, should be good. Prophecies of Abraham. History of mankind. Okay, here it is. So I just need to get my timeline out first, just to get the copy and paste. Year Abraham. Year Abraham was born. Now, I know Joseph, whenever I talk to him about the things that he has researched, is that he tells me and other people, he wants people to prove him wrong, and that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm not doing this purposely to, this isn't something where I'm trying to, what's the word? I'm not trying to attack or anything like that. What I'm doing is just trying to prove the word of God. It's not really a personal thing. I mean, I respect him as a person. It's just when you come up with something, if I come up with an idea and I said, for example, the two witnesses are in Iran, something like that, and I give you scriptural evidence saying this is how I know, I expect people to prove whether it's true or not. To do their research and don't just take my word for it. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm going through his book, looking for dates and see if I can prove any of these dates according to the timeline that Jehovah led me to from the Septuagint now. So 120, the Jubilee cycle, that one, I think it's pretty solid. You can't really disprove 120 Jubilees, because that's just 120 times 49, then it gives you the year. So I don't think there's much to disprove there, in my opinion. Okay, sabbatical and Jubilee year cycle. So it says here, 2 Kings 19:29. So let's look at that. 2 Kings. Where's my Bible? On the tabs. I'm going to take a look at that. That's one of the most important verses, he says that it's one of the only Jubilee years mentioned in all of Scripture. Let's just take a look. So 2 Kings, which is actually 4th Kings. So 2 Kings 19:29. Okay, let's take a look. So according to the, let's see, Edwin R. Theo. Okay, sabbatical year, followed by another sabbatical year. The only time you have 2 sabbatical years back to back is when there is a 49th sabbatical year, followed by the Jubilee year. Oh yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Okay, so let's just see if that, I want to see if that is so. I mean, I did look it up, and his disciples, so this can't load fast enough, okay? 2 Kings 19 and verse 29. Let's see in the Masoretic. And this shall be a sign to you. You shall eat this year such things as grow of themselves. In the 2nd year, that which springs of the same. And in the 3rd year, you sow and reap and plant vineyards, and eat the fruits thereof. And the remnant that is escaped of the house of Judah shall yet again take root downward and bear fruit upward. So that's the Masoretic. Let's look at the Septuagint. And this shall be a sign to you. Eat this year the things that grow of themselves. So that's good. And in the 2nd year, the things which spring up of the same. Okay. In the 3rd year, let there be sowing and reaping and planting of vineyards, and you eat from the fruit of them. And he shall increase him that has escaped of the house. Okay, the remnant that escaped shall take root and bear fruit upward, and he shall increase him that has escaped of the house of Judah. The remnant shall strike root beneath, and it shall produce fruit above. Okay, so yeah, that lines up. That is a year where you don't grow anything. You just eat what grows of itself. And the 2nd year, the same thing. So that is true. There's no problem. The Septuagint agrees. And then he uses the Assyrian history books here. So I can't really look at that because that's Assyria. The only other time Israel interacts with Assyria is recorded in 2 Kings 18. Okay. And he says that it's 701 BC. Okay, that's what he's saying. The cover that I used for the thumbnail. The only other time Israel interacts with Assyria, okay, during King Hezekiah. So 701 BC is the 49th year of the sabbatical cycle. Is that right? Okay. Is that right? Let's look at the chart. I mean, he did do this chart, so I don't think he's wrong, but let's just look at the chart. 701 BC. It's the 49th year. The 49th year of the sabbatical cycle. 701. Okay, I can't find 701. Oh, here. 701. It's the 63rd sabbatical cycle. Okay. Right, so this is King Hezekiah. Right, okay. And Abraham is the year 1724. So this is way... Is that what I had? 1724. Yeah. Let me just double check my facts. See how far Abraham is from this. Yeah, so I have Abraham in the 35th Jubilee cycle, and this is reasonably a good time away. It's not too short or too far. So it seems to make sense, but we need more evidence. Okay, what does the scripture say? 2 Kings 18:13. Now in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the fenced cities of Judah, took them. Okay. How do we know it was a sabbatical year? Oh, it doesn't say it was. We know if 701 is the 49th. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. So 2 Kings 19 indicates it was. So that's the proof of 2 Kings 19. Okay. All right. And that lines up with this because 701, according to the Syrian records, that year was 701. And 701 is a sabbatical. It's a jubilee. It's a sabbatical, and then the next year is a jubilee, which is the year minus 700. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. That's really cool to see that. Same with Pentecost. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that part. I understand that. So next page. All right. So it's 5:30 p.m. A little bit close to that anyway. The following is the known sabbatical years. 701. Okay. It's hard to prove these sabbatical years unless you have extra biblical sources. So, and he also uses Maccabees as well. Okay. Well, I can't prove these ones yet because I haven't gone that far into the timeline. I'm proving more Abraham's events that surround Abraham. Okay. The fourth curse. Okay, I know this is fine. I don't think I can prove any of this wrong. Or prove it right or wrong, whatever. Abraham's famine. Okay, here it is. The third curse. No. That's Leviticus. Okay. The third curse. Leviticus 26. Okay. The plague. No. Looking for Abraham. The flu epidemic. First 3 times the word famine is mentioned. Oh, here it is. Chronology from Adam to Exodus. Here we go. Okay, he has here from the creation of Adam to the birth of Abram. He has 1948, but I have 1724. So we have a discrepancy of 224 years. He says that 430 years was confirmed by Paul in Galatians. This law introduced 430 years later. So Galatians 3. Gotta look up that and see what the context is. 3 years began with the promise, which is the covenant. Is that right? When did Yahweh make this promise? Okay, this has to be proven. This is really important. Which is older than the most New Testaments use. It's like the Septuagint of the New Testament. Okay, so 3:16 says here, it was to Abraham that the promises were made. It was not said to his offsprings, but to him, to your offspring. Oh, to Isaac, and by connection, Mashiach. My point is this: an agreement already confirmed by Elohim cannot be cancelled by the Torah, which came 430 years later, was to cause the promise to be set aside. Okay, so the law came 430 years later. So that's the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai, I think. Just double check. When he was 75, he left. Now, if the rest of chapters suffer the drought, it takes time. Oh, right. Okay, Genesis 12 is what he's saying is when Abraham left. Oh, he's trying to find out how old he was when the covenant was made. I think I have that actually. That might be in the book of Jasher as to how old he was. So he's saying what we do not know exactly is the year of the covenant. But it was after 75 and before 85. So it's like a mystery we're really investigating. How old is the child when he is weaned? We're not told. There's no biblical proof to these two ages. I'm going to say the covenant with Abraham was made when he was 80, and 430 he left Egypt. Okay, there's actually a lot of scriptures to go through. But first I'm going to go through Leviticus 25 because he says in Leviticus 25, that's when they entered the land of Canaan. Leviticus 25, verse 1 to 8. When you come into the land, then the land shall keep a Sabbath. Okay, so that's what he's saying. So I should give to you. So from the sounds of the Septuagint, sounds like when you get there. Like whenever you get there, but in the Masoretic it sounds like when you get there. But anyway, either way, it's not too clear as to that being the case. But we're just trying to use this as a... Okay, what is this? To confirm if this is right, we have to see if the year they entered was a Jubilee year. we count from creation forward till the 41st year of 2009. If we add up the genealogy of Abraham, and at 75 we are at 2023. Okay, so there's some assumptions going on as to the Jubilee. So that's what has to be proven. So there's somewhat of a range here as well. Funnily enough, I didn't realize that there's actually a range. Oh, this also says that that Nimrod was a contemporary of Abraham. I didn't realize that. And he's the same guy that built the Tower of Babel. The first chart, okay. So what we're trying to find out is how old is Abraham when he made the covenant? That's the big mystery. Once we find that out, then all we have to do is add 430 years. And then we get the year that they were given the Torah, or the tablets of stone on Mount Sinai. So that's what Galatians says, and we just have to go by that. And, you know, I'm not going to blame anyone else but whoever wrote Galatians. I guess if you can't really, can you really dispute Galatians? I mean, I don't want to. I take it as a trustworthy source, the New Testament. Personally, I do. That's the, okay. The covenant. What's the covenant? Is that the covenant he made? The year of the covenant. Okay, on that day, Jehovah made a covenant with Abraham. That's the one, Genesis 15. That's the one where he says, do not be afraid, I am your shield and great reward. You have given me no children. And then he said, split all these animals into two. And then he tells them that your descendants will be mistreated for 400 years. So that's where the smoking fire pot or the furnace went in between the pieces, the covenant of the pieces. That's what I'm looking for. So that's the mission right now. Look for that covenant of the pieces. That'll be in the book of Jasher. Pretty sure. So again, this is just to the stream. It's just to get the homework done, and then I'll probably do a second stream. This is just, I'm not even going to keep this stream. I'm just doing this just so I can keep myself honest. Because otherwise, if I just sit here with no stream, I'm going to be in silence and nothing is getting done. I'll just be distracted, you know, going to different websites and not really staying focused. So this actually is much better doing it this way. Okay. So I'm plugged in, make sure the stream's still going. So I'm going to look for, oh, still going. Okay. So I'm going to look for, did Jehovah make a covenant with Abraham? And the covenant of pieces. And then he tells him, your descendants will be slaves essentially for 400 years. And Abraham tells him, you know, I don't have an heir or anything like that. So this is definitely before Isaac was born, for sure, because he says I don't have an heir. So I have to just look for Isaac and then rewind. So there he is. There's Isaac. Okay, found Isaac. Just have to not find him now. I have to make sure he's not born. Where's that? It's like I'm going in a time machine. Okay, Ishmael. Okay, so Ishmael's that's a potential heir, so that can't be. Jehovah remembered her. Abimelech said to them, "What is the work you have done?" Abimelech took flocks. You die. Okay, this is Abimelech taking Sarah. And then the angels visiting Abraham before they destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Eliezer. Okay. Yeah, the people of Sodom are so evil. I didn't realize how evil they were until I read some excerpts from Jasher and Jubilees. It shows you just how wicked they were, and it didn't have to do with what people normally think. It has to do with the most cruel acts I've ever read in my life. To be honest, it's just they are so incredibly wicked. Like you have to make the Nazis look nice. Abraham came to Sarah in his tent. They returned to their children. Okay, so I'm on chapter 17, so it's probably before 17. Okay, looks like there's like multiple covenants that he makes here. But we're looking for him actually doing a sacrifice and walking in between the dead animals, like the blood and all that. Not just okay. The 9 kings made war. They plundered the cities. Go. Okay, sorry, you can't really see what I'm doing right now, but so there's a quarrel going. So I believe this covenant was made before he left. Okay, still looking for it. Okay, I'm trying to understand. Was this made? Was the covenant, or is it when he left the land? Because anyway, we're just looking for an age. I think that's once we find an age. Terah took his son Abram and the souls of the household to go to the land of Canaan. Abram remained in the land 3 years. But at the end of 3 years, Jehovah appeared to Abram, said to him, I am Jehovah who brought you forth out of Ur Kasdim, delivered you from the hands of all your enemies. Now if you'll listen to my voice and keep my commandments, my statutes, my laws, then will I cause your enemies to fall before you. I'll multiply your seed like the stars of heaven. I will send my blessing upon all the works of your hands. You shall lack not to the land of Canaan, just as Jehovah told them. Abram was 50 years old, but it says 75 in Genesis 12:4. So let's look at Genesis 12:4. So we're getting two different numbers. Jasher says one number lines anyway, two potential timelines. So it says here he was 50 years old. Okay. Jasher says 50 when he pitched his tent. Sorry, when he left. Abram, get out of your country. I'll make you a great nation. Abram departed, and he was 75 when he departed of Haran. It also says 75 in the Septuagint as well. So, and then Noah died, okay. It was the 15th year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, which is the 70th year of Abram that Jehovah appeared to him and said, I brought you out of Ur Kasdim. So he was 70, according to the Jasher now. Walk before me, be perfect, and to you I will give this land. You shall come to your fathers in peace and good age. The fourth generation shall return here. Abram built an altar, and this is it. He brought up sacrifices. Abram returned and went to Haran to see his mother and father, and his wife. Many of the people, followed Abraham. Okay, so I have so I have 70. I have 70 years. That's interesting. So it says here, he left. Abram was 50 when he went from Haran. Okay, so 50. But then it says, so where's the 5 years? The 58th year of Abraham, Noah died. This math doesn't add. Okay, in the 5th year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah revolted. So those 5 years now into his living in Canaan. In the 10th year, there was a war between Nimrod. Okay, and then it says in the 15th year, which is the 70th year of his life. Okay, so let's try to make sense of this timeline. He left at 50. Abraham left. He said, get up and go. Okay, and it says he was 50 when he left from Haran. So 50. Okay, so then 5 years, Sodom and Gomorrah rebelled. So 55. 65 is Nimrod having a war with this other king of Elam. So he is now 50 plus 5, 55, 65, and then what? How's my math so bad right now? I can't do math right now. What is going on? Okay, it says Abraham was 50. Let's go slow. Let's go really slow here. Let's see what... where's this verse? I lost the verse. Oh, here it is. 5. Verse 5. So I'm going to keep a record of these ages and write it down. Here it is. Okay. Keep my page there. So, Book of Jasher. Chapter 13. Chapter 13, verse 5. Bookmark there. Chapter 13, verse 5. Abraham leaves Haran. age 50. I'll just put age 50. Abraham leaves Haran. So that's done. That is set according to this. And when the Septuagint says when it says 75, I think they mean 75 when the covenant was made, not when he left. So there's a little bit of a different interpretations of that because there's a lot more going on in Jasher. It tells you all the details, all the nitty gritty. In verse 11, the 5th year of Abraham, Sodom and Gomorrah revolted from the king of Elam. So they rebelled against him. So 5th year of Abraham dwelling there. So that would be, what verse is this? 11, 13, 11, age 55, Sodom and Gomorrah rebel against king of Elam. So that's 55. Pretty. It says here how old he was too. The 10th year of his dwelling there, in the land of Canaan, there was a war between Nimrod, king of Shinar, and king of Elam. So the 10th year of his living there, that's verse 12. 13, 12, age 60, I would think. King of who? What's the country? King of Shinar versus king of Elam. Nimrod and king of Elam war. Okay, so that's age 60 according to that math. And all those kings fought before. Nimrod fled and returned in shame. Wow. So he lost. Verse 17. Verse 17 is very interesting because it shows you that this math doesn't add up. The 15th year, it says 15th year, Abraham in Canaan, I think is Canaan where he was. It says here, verse 17, it was the 15th year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, which is the 70th year of the life of Abram. So something happened. He left Haran, but he didn't get to Canaan until 55. So where was he then? When he was 55? That's the question. In verse 11, where was he? So, okay, let's look at it. We have to trace his, it's like we're doing some tracing here, like disease tracing. But where were you, Abraham? Okay, get out, Abraham, go to Canaan. So he left from Haran. So he left. And he came to Canaan and was in the middle of the city. And then Jehovah appeared to him, said, "This is the land I'll give to you." So he built an altar. At the time, at the end of 3 years of living there, which is the 58th year. Oh, I missed that detail. It's really important. Okay. That's where the missing years went. So it says here, the 58th year of the life of Abraham. 3 years in Canaan. Okay, so 3 years in Canaan. Abraham was 58. So that means he didn't get there till he was 55. He leaves, but he doesn't get there till 55. It makes it sound like he got there like, leave, okay, I'm there, boom. No, it's like it took 5 years to get there. So where is Haran and where is Canaan? Like where, how far is that? Where is Haran? It would take 5 years to travel. Unless he needed to, probably does. Haran is mentioned in, it's in Turkey, okay. Haran is in Turkey. So, Haran is in Turkey. Upper Haran is in Karhi, okay. So where is Canaan today? Haran is in Turkey. So how far is the land known as Canaan? Boy. So that could be, okay, so what is the closest part of Canaan to Haran? Let's look at this picture and see. Southwestern portion of Syria and Lebanon. So Canaan is definitely like Israel, because that's the land he was supposed to get. Canaan, not Syria, or was it? I guess it's ancient Israel. So I'm going to look at ancient Israel. Yeah, ancient, because that's the land. That's the promised land. Ancient Israel. So what would be the northern border of ancient Israel? Map of ancient Israel. Look at the map of ancient Israel. I feel like they took most of the land, to be honest, and they gave up huge portions of it when they were kicked out. Okay, here it is. There's a map of ancient Israel. 12 tribes of Israel. How about at its peak? Okay, I'm going to go with this map. It's a tiny map. Okay, Asher, Arameans. Need a bigger view of this map, so I can kind of get an idea of how long it would take. Because we're not saying he's going to get to Jerusalem. It would be more like Canaan. Because I know Israel went to Canaan and took parts of their land. We just have to see what's the northernmost part of Israel, and then we can say how long would it take to walk there. Because I know he walked or took a donkey or a horse or whatever animal. And then what's with Sidon? Okay, so Sidon or Tyre. Okay, I'm gonna say probably went to Tyre, because that's kind of deeper in the map. Unless you want to say Jerusalem. I mean, that would change things big time for Jerusalem. You know what? We just say Jerusalem. How far is Jerusalem from Haran, Turkey? And then how long would it take to walk that distance? Like, would it take 5 years? Because how far is Haran, Turkey from Jerusalem? Jerusalem. Why did it take so long to walk from Turkey from here? It's 1,000 kilometers. It's 1,000 kilometers. That's a long journey. It's going to take like at least a year. A lot of people, especially with resistance. Abraham traveled 700 miles and another 800 down to Egypt and then back into Canaan. Whoa. So he traveled 700 down to the present day Iraq. And then he went, no, wait, what? No, he went from Haran. Where is Haran today? In Turkey, right. Eight hundred. I don't get it. Footsteps of Abraham. Okay, I'll look at this article. We are told that when Abraham was 75, told him to, okay, Canaan. And he left Ur through Iraq. Babylon. Nineveh. Oh, here. It was at Haran that Terah died. The way was still westward. It was 50 miles to the high walled Carchemish. So 50 miles. They had a huge defense tower. So that's going to impede you. Also, he's saying that Abraham would have stopped, made multiple stops on the way. So that makes sense, and he would rest. The land of Canaan was close to, the land was 15 miles. Okay. It says here, led the way down to the river Jordan, joins the Jordan. Canaan of that time, okay, was at Shechem where he first stopped. So we have to look for where is Shechem and then see. It was annexed to, oh boy, where is the land of Shechem today in Israel? So it is Nablus. How far is Haran, Turkey, from Nablus in Israel? I think it's in Israel. About, I'm going to say 800 to, they didn't have a car. And they probably took a lot of stops and they probably rested here and there for a few weeks at a time. Who knows how long they would have, okay, it would have taken them like a day. nonstop, but because they wouldn't do that, that's crazy. A day's journey. How far is a how far is a day's journey in the Bible? How many kilometers do they walk? And then they have to rest for, at least a month or a week or a month. A day's journey is probably, so if they do so much kilometers a day, it's 3 miles per hour. A day's journey is 24 miles. So 30, let's just say 30 kilometers. So, so 30 kilometers, where's my phone? Okay, we take 1,000 divided by 30 kilometers. 33 days. So about a month plus resting time. That's at least a year. At least, considering all the people that were with him. So if we just take Jasher according to what it's written, and it's probably the best way to do it instead of doing all the speculation I'm doing right now. So he left Haran. The end of 3 years, dwelling in the land of Canaan. The year Noah died was 58. Okay, so let's just do the math. Arrives. So it means he arrived in Canaan, age 55. So now 1311. Oh, hold on a sec. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay. I need to do a better timeline. This kind of messy. No one dies. So Noah was with him? Like, I don't understand. The year Noah died. Okay, so it doesn't say he was with him, but Noah died. So I don't know if he went to mourn him or anything. So the 5th year of Abraham's dwelling, that's verse 5. 5th year. 5th year, Abraham in Canaan. Age 60. Okay, so he left at 50. He arrived at 55. 3 years in Canaan, Abram's 58. That means the 5th year, he would be 60, naturally. And then verse 12 says, the 10th year of Abraham. 10 year in Canaan. I have to put it in a better third year. 3rd year in Canaan. 3rd year. Okay, so Abraham is 50. This is the book of Jasher. It's such a useful book. That's such a such a understatement. But so at age 50, Abraham lived at the age of 50. Abraham at the age of 50 years. specify years because sometimes people can be a little, you know. 13:5. At the age of 50 years, Abraham leaves Haran. Abraham arrives in Canaan, age 55. That's just logical. It says here, 13:9, in the third year, Abraham in Canaan, Noah dies. Abram's 58. Abram is 58 years old. And then here, fifth year, in Abram in Canaan, Gomorrah rebel against the king of Elam. Abraham now 60 years old. And the next one is the 10th year, Abraham in Canaan, king of Shinar, Nimrod. I say Nimrod, king of Shinar, and king of Elam, whatever he was. Let's look at his name. It's a long name. Kedor Laomer. Kedor Laomer, king of Elam, Lord. Abraham is now 10 plus 55, 65. 15th year of Abraham in Canaan. Verse 17. This book is falling apart, but it is 100 years old. So over 100 years old. Let me see how old this book is. This book of Jasher that I'm holding in my hand. This was printed in 1887. This book is 113 plus 20, 133 years old. Okay, 17. 15th year of Abraham, dwelling in the land of Canaan, which is the 70th year of the life of Abraham. And it says right there. So what happened in this year when he was 70? Walk before me and be perfect. Keep my commands. For to you and your seed I will give this. So he returned. Aaron built an altar and he brought up sacrifices upon the altar. So is that the big sacrifice that he made? Behold, I spoke to you 20 years back, saying, go forth from the land. So I don't get it. Okay. So he went to Canaan and he was there for 15 years. And then it says Abraham returned to Haran to see his father and mother. And he lived in Haran another 5 years. Whoa, this is... wow, this book is great. It really fills in the details like nothing else, man. So now this is the 20th year of Abraham. Because it says he went returned to Haran. Abraham returns to Haran for 5 years. So Abraham is now 75, according to the Septuagint and Masoretic. They both say that. So, but it says here that Abraham made sacrifices. If you will, right here, it says he made sacrifices to him. And that's when he was 70. Made sacrifices. So I'm gonna say that's the covenant. Probably the covenant. Capitals. So that makes sense. Let's see if my stream is still going. It's not a big deal if it is or not. I don't really care. I'm still going. But this will not be saved. I'm gonna erase it just because I don't need it. I'm just doing this for to keep myself honest and to keep focused. So okay, so it's what happens after that. Okay, let me see. And he built an altar there. He was 75 when he went from Haran to return to Canaan. So 26, 1326. Abraham returns to Canaan at 75. Oh, so the question is, when was the sacrifice made? Rikayon. I don't know who Rikayon is, but it's not. It's another story going on here. There was a heavy famine. Abraham and all belonging to him went down to Egypt. Egypt just has a lot of food. So how old was he when this happened? They were all amazed by Sarah's beauty. I wonder what she looked like then. Probably looked amazing, I would suppose. I mean stunning, not amazing, but a stunner. Probably a stunner. So Abram returned to Canaan from Egypt. Abraham said to Lot, "What is this you're doing to me? Make me despicable to the inhabitants of the land? You order your herdsmen to feed your cattle in the fields of other people? Do you not know that I am a stranger in this land, amongst the children of Canaan, and why will you do this to me?" Abram quarreled daily with Lot, but Lot would not listen, and he continued to do the same. And the inhabitants of the land came and told Abram, "How long will you be to me a stumbling block with the inhabitants? I beseech you, let there be no more quarreling between us." So that's where they divided. They really had a fight going on. Lot was kind of stubborn. Abram dwelt in Mamre, which is in Hebron. He pitched his tent, and he stayed there many years. Doesn't say how many, but many years. And then this is where they kidnap Lot, I believe. Abram heard about it. So although they had a fight, a squabble, blood is thicker than water. And he's like, I gotta rescue my nephew, even though he was somewhat of a stubborn kid. Um, okay, so he got Lot back. And at that time, oh wow, this might be it. Jasher 16, 20. 16, 20, 21. Jasher 16, 20, and 21 says here that Abraham, he appeared to Abram in Hebron. Do not fear, your reward is very great. I will not leave you till I have multiplied you, and blessed you and made your seed like the stars in heaven. I will give to your seed these lands. I will give them for inheritance. Only be strong, do not fear. In the 70th year, so that's the 70th year. It's somewhere around the 75th to 78th. So Abraham was between 75 to 78. But he didn't make a sacrifice. He just told them that he'll do this, but he didn't sacrifice there. And at the end of 10 years, Sarah gave Hagar to him, and that's where Ishmael was born. The 85th year, I'll write that down too. This is quite a timeline. Verse 27 of the same chapter. Abraham was Abraham. He was how old? 85 years old when Hagar gave birth, I believe. She conceived. '91st year of the life of Abraham. So when Hagar was given to him, like given to Abraham to propagate, I guess. Oh no, it fell off completely. Okay, so I think that's all for that part there. And okay, let's look at the book of Prophecies. Prophecies. So now we got a bit of a timeline going on from thanks to the book of Jasher. So he's asking here, the question is, We know Abram was 85 when chapter 16 took place. And he went into Hagar. Oh, yeah, that's true. I have that too in Jasher. What we do not know is the year of the covenant. It was after 75, but before 85. Well, we don't really know if it was after 75. We really don't. Let's look at this account in Genesis. So this is the covenant in Genesis 15. So I'm going to look that up and see how does it line up with Jasher. Once we answer that question, we can figure out this timeline. That's great. And Genesis 15. And this is verses 1. Okay, I shield you. Your reward shall be very great. What will you give me? I am departing without a child, and the son of Masek, my homeborn female slave, this Eliezer of Damascus, is my heir. And Abram said, I'm grieved. You have given me no seed, but my homeborn servant shall succeed me. This shall not be your heir. Okay. He brought him out and said to him, look up now to heaven, count the stars. And he said to him, so shall your seed be, or thus shall your seed be. Abram believed Elohim was counted to him for righteousness. And he said to him, I am Elohim that brought you out of the land of the Chaldeans, so as to give you this land to inherit. And he said, Master and Lord, Adonai and Jehovah, how shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said, take for me a heifer, a dove and a pigeon. So he took to him all these and divided them in the middle and set them opposite to each other. But the birds he did not divide. The birds came down upon the bodies, upon the divided parts, and Abram sat down by them. Oh, wow. He didn't drive them away. It says he just sat down by them. About sunset, a trance fell upon Abraham. And look, a great gloomy terror falls upon him. It was said to Abraham, you shall surely know that your seed shall be a sojourner in the land, not their own. Not their own. Okay, let me look at the... Not their one. It's not their one. It's a typo. $15.13 to get the physical version, because I think someone made a typo here. Let's see what time sunset is on my area. I think it's at 7:30. Um, 8:43. Excuse me. Excuse me. So 8:43 is 1 hour after sunset. So, excuse me. What am I looking at now? Verse 13. It was said to Abram, "You shall surely know that your seed shall be a sojourner in a land not their own." So it says own. They shall enslave them, inflict them, and humble them 400 years. The nation whomsoever they shall serve, I will judge. You shall depart to your fathers in peace. A smoking furnace. In that day Jehovah made a covenant with Abraham, saying, "To your seed I will give this land from the Oh, okay. So this is right before Sarah gave him Hagar. But it says that I'm so confused because look, it says the king of Salem. There's so many things that. Okay, I have to look at. Okay, right. I'm looking at both records now at the same time. So in the book of Jasher, when it says here that Abraham was 65 and these guys warred. Uh, the king of Shinar and the king of Elam. No, that's not it. No, this is someone else. Chaldalagamor, king of Elam, and Thargal, king of nations, made war with the king of Sodom. So when was this? This is when he was 60 years old. And then another war happened and he's 65. So which war is this? So it says here now, the king of Sodom went out, and Gomorrah, and Adama, and Soboim, and Balak. And they fought against Kadal Gomorrah of Alam, and Arioch, king of Eleazar, 4 against 5. The king of Sodom fled, and the king of Gomorrah, and they fell in there. So Sodom and Gomorrah lost. So that sounds like that's when he was 60. But what it says here is that he was in Egypt as well. So there's so many events that are kind of messy right now. I have to look at Noah. I'm back at Noah. There was one lip. Okay, so this is this Babel, Tower of Babel. And then Abram is born. Okay, go to the land, go out of your land, and go to the land which I'll show you. So that's the first time. That's when he was 50. So he goes there at 55. Noah dies. Abram's 58. And then it's the 5th year. So this in Septuagint, it's not covering all the details here. They went to go to Haran when he was 75. Or they went out of Haran. They went to Canaan. So this is fast forwarding, just telling you what happens after. Jehovah appeared to Abraham and said, "I will give this land to your seed." He departed there, and toward the east he built an altar, and departed, went into the wilderness. There was a famine. He went to Egypt. So he goes to Egypt. And they had the dispute. So he made 2 trips there, but it doesn't say that in here. Abram lived in Canaan, yeah. But then he returns to Haran. So now it says king of Shinar and Arioch. They made war with the king of Sodom. Okay, so this is trying to fit this in the narrative. How does this make sense in the order of things? One of them rescued came and told Abraham that Lot was kidnapped. So Lot's been kidnapped now. So, and then Abraham, so this sacrifice took place, according to the Septuagint, right? Before Ishmael was born. So that's the only clue we have in the Septuagint. Okay. So if we look here, he was 85. So that means that the covenant was probably when he was 70 or 75. Because he made, there were 2 instances in Jasher where Jehovah said, I promise you this will happen, kind of thing. It gives him, let's see, 1326. Let's see what it says here. Is that the wrong chapter? He built an altar and did sacrifices. The 15th year. Where's that verse? 13:17. So Abram was 70 when he made that sacrifice, but it was on an altar. It wasn't where he had that vision. So that is missing from Jasher. And then the other one was 1627. Okay, so in 1627, he says, this is where Jehovah says, I'll multiply your seed. No, that's not it. That's not, that's not the one. I lost my spot. Okay, I have to write down how old was he when he rescued Lot? Because the narrative of the Septuagint and Jasher, they don't line up in terms of the events too much. Doesn't seem like it lines up that closely. So what I have to do is map out these events. Okay, this is an important one. I didn't write it down. But 13. "75 years old. Abraham builds another altar." So that means another sacrifice. And it says that this altar is still is still today. This altar still is in the plains of Mambre. That's important because if that is mentioned in Septuagint, then you know which one it is. And then it says here, so after that, that's when he went to Egypt. There was a heavy famine. Doesn't say how old he was, but it was after he was 75. All right. And then it says here they had a dispute. The 78th year of Abram. Okay, so says your Lot. Uh, Famine in Egypt took place, and then Lot dispute with Abraham. They had a dispute after the famine, and that's where they went their separate ways. And Lot was taken captive as well. So Lot taken captive. This is all before he turned 78. Lot taken captive. Abraham rescues him. And then Abraham turned 78. So it gives us a better idea of when it would be. Right. The 91st year, there was another war, but I think that's way. I don't know who Tubal is. Okay. Okay. All right. It says here that okay, Abraham was 91 when right before Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. So I'm going to write that down. Where's this verse? 17:1 to propagate. 17:1. Abraham was 91. Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed by. Now we're at Isaac, so this is way past. So now we are past it now, so I'm going to stop reading. Do some book repair. To tape this with some kind of tape. Maybe I'll tape it right now. Squeeze to this. There's the tape. I gotta find that. Wait. Okay. Yeah. This is so good. Right now. It's gonna break. Where's this break here? I'm gonna tape it from the front, I think. They're paying a 100-year-old book in a live stream. Yeah, let's tape another, both sides. And I wanted to use tape that wouldn't damage it. So if the tape comes off, the book will still be, won't rip off any of the material. I just need to use this again. There you go. I have to tape that part too. Okay, hopefully that holds up. Alright, it's getting darker. So let's look at the narrative one more time. What's this narrative saying here? Verse 15, chapter 15. So after these things, what were these things that just happened? These kings had a war. And Abram heard Lot had been taken captive. So this narrative is not matching up with Jasher. Because here it says Lot was taken and he was already 78. And then he was given, what's her name? Hagar. So we have an heir already. Okay. So how will they inherit it? And your seed will, yeah. So this is where. So that's where it is. Okay. So he was 78. There you go. So that's the conclusion. Abraham was 78. Conclusion. Abraham was 78 years old when Nova made a covenant with him. The covenant. The covenant. The covenant from Septuagint, because that's the way you harmonize it. So that would mean that year was, if Abraham was born in 1724, that's whatever that is plus 78. That would give us 1802. The year 1802, or as much as 1804. Going by the other narrative, which says that the Septuagint is off by another 8 years, then it would be 1810, I think. Yeah, 1810 at the most. 1810 by Septuagint, 88 Noah. Noah has 88 instead of 80. I think there's also the thing of there's another discrepancy, but we just leave it at that. I like 1802. It seems pretty reasonable. The covenant, and then. So what did Galatians say? Galatians said, Paul says, gives us a timeline. It says, to your offspring, through you all the Gentiles will be blessed. He had faith, and this faith was regarded as righteousness. The promises were made. An agreement confirmed by Elohim cannot be cancelled by the Torah, which came 430 years later. So he promised him that 430 years later, and that's when the law was given. 430 years later, the law, the Torah, was given on Mount Sinai to Moses. So that would bring us to the year 2232. Okay. Or 2034, or even 2240. I'm going with 2232. So I can't really see too well now because it's getting darker. I may need a light. That's not good enough. Okay, so everything I've just done, I'm going to redo because it's been a lot of homework. And then we'll just continue on from where we left off. So I'm gonna stop the stream, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna do a new one. Do I want to end it? End it and then cancel.